Hey, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to SFC Live on a Sunday afternoon, a beautiful Sunday afternoon. Thank you guys for joining me again today. Certainly, I'll appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to be a part of ours. So, thank you. I want to get some announcements in the way first. Don't forget, December the 2nd, on the campus of the Guilford College here in the city of Greensboro, we will be doing a holiday vendor fair. We've got tons of vendors, and I mean, I'm talking like 15 to 20 different vendors, as well as at least a couple of food trucks. So we're going to make it a big affair. We're going to make it a big to do. And I certainly hope that you are able to be a part of that uh, in just a couple of weeks, right? Is that a couple of weeks? Yeah, in just a couple of weeks. We will be there on the College of Gifford College from 12 to 6, Gifford College campus, 12 to 6 with a holiday vendor fair. Come out and make you some good holiday gift purchases, okay? So please share that. Let everybody know that we will be out there. With SFC defined on the campus of Guilford College next on December the 2nd. Appreciate you guys. Also want to tell you, I know that we talked about this last year around the holidays, and I challenged you guys, and some of you lived up to the challenge and you met it like full steam ahead. So I told you that every holiday, I like to do stuff for the homeless or those that are struggling. So usually on Christmas, I'll put something in a card and I'll ride around the city, a couple of cities. I'll do usually do Greensboro, Winston-Salem, and we try to give them something. This year, we wanted to expand that just a little bit, and we were going to put together bags, like little plastic bags with necessary toiletries and like deodorant and little small stuff that will help them get through a few weeks or what have you. So if you would like to be a part of that, you can help us by making some donations with stuff. We're looking for like socks, um, wipes, deodorant, perhaps razors, all the little things like that that you would think that you could do that. If you would just DM me, I will give you the address to where that can be sent. Or if you're in the city, we can meet up and do that. I just feel like that it is more blessed to give than it is to receive. And because God has blessed me and favored me, and along with the staff and team of SFC, we're just going to come together and give back to those that are less fortunate and just appreciate them for who they are and help them get through their struggles. So we're trying to do that. If you would like to be a part of that, we would greatly appreciate it. If some of you would rather give monetary donations, I can promise you that it will all go towards making sure that the people are getting something for that day. We usually do it Christmas morning, first thing on Christmas morning, and just let people know that they're loved, and just being in the mindset of giving on that and not just receiving. So enough about that. This week, thank you for that, and we'll reiterate that as the weeks go on. But we're talking about becoming resilient. It's crazy because I had a couple of you who questioned me about the topic as it relates to the definition that I gave you regarding resilient when it saying able to recover quickly from traumas or negative bad situations. And some of you were hung up on the recovering quickly part. And I don't want you to get hung up on that word. What we're going to focus on today is just recovering from. Some recoveries based on the trauma, based on the situation, takes longer for you to bounce back from, and that is totally okay. I think that we need to understand that everybody is different. Everybody sees their situations differently. Everybody handles their situations differently. So don't get caught up on the quickly part. Quick for you maybe 6 months from a traumatic event. Quick for me, maybe 3 months, or vice versa. It just depends on on what event that you are becoming resilient over. My concern is the fact that you don't play the victim. And even though your healing process or your bounce back may take some time, just see progress in that. That's all I ask, is to see progress. Make sure that you are seeing progress. And that's what I want. Hey, Bobby, Catherine, Denise, thank y'all for joining me today. The rest of you, thank you so much again for joining me. But we're talking about today about becoming resilient. And I think so often we have adopted the mindset that if I can be a victim, it's almost like saying, there's a saying that says negative attention is better than no attention at all. A lot of times we get caught up in getting attention from people when we're less resilient or show signs of evolving or show signs of coming out or getting through. Nobody tends to pay us any attention because these are the warriors and these are the fighters and these are the folk that bounce back and don't even think about it. So they don't get that attention like that all the time because people have in their mindset says, oh, that's just Corey. He'll get through it or he'll get over it. But then there are times when situations are very difficult and very hard that it takes longer to bounce back from. Been dealing with something, I think I shared with you briefly last week, been dealing with something the last couple of months that it's been hard to be as resilient as I know I can be. Not playing the victim by no stretch of the imagination, but I'm having to be more patient with myself as I bounce back to 100% with that. And I'm talking about emotionally, mentally, spiritually, physically, I'm good. But when you start dealing with emotional stresses and mental stresses, bouncing back sometimes is a longer process. I think a lot of times we heal quicker from physical trauma than we do from mental or emotional trauma. I want to hear what you have to say about that. I want you to share with me some of the things that, how you have seen yourself grow through some things. Notice I said grow through and not go through, but grow through some things. What have you grown through that that it took you being resilient and having to bounce back from, that you look at yourself now and say, man, I never would have thought that I would have been able to go through that. Think about some situations that you went through a few years ago, a few months ago, even perhaps a few weeks ago, and think about what it did for you. I shared last week, oftentimes by becoming a victim, we look at different situations, particularly the negative situations, and the first thing we identify is what it did to us. It hurt my feelings. It broke my heart. It set me back. It embarrassed me. And those are things that we identify as a situation doing to us. And although that's a reality, I don't knock that. I don't deny that. But what I want you to do is to start looking at situations, the negative situations, those situations that you deem negative. Look at those negative situations and ask yourself the question, what can this do for me? Not what did it do to me, but what can it do for me? We talked about that last week. And what I've learned for me personally is when I am in a negative situation or a situation that challenges me, whether it's intellectually, financially, emotionally, mentally, or whatever, even physically, I ask myself the question, what can this do for me? Like in this moment, what is it doing for me? Now, granted, listen to me when I say this. When I ask myself that question, I am very aware of what I am feeling at that moment. So, in the midst of my hurt, in the midst of my frustration, in the midst of my anger, you still have to muster up that strength to say, okay, what is this doing for me? I was listening to something, a podcast the other day, and it was talking about how any situation that comes in your life, you get to decide. This is a personal decision. It's called free will. You get to decide on what you're going to name that situation. And I'm particularly talking about whether or not you're going to name it negative or name it positive. You get to name that. It can do nothing to you until you give it a name. You give it a title. You get me? So when any situation that comes up, you get to decide as an individual, am I going to view this as a negative situation and I see only what it can do to me? Or am I going to see this as a positive situation and see and determine what it can do for me. You get to decide that. And, trust me when I tell you, I know that that can be easier said than done when you're being reactive and not being responsive. When you react, our instinct, our human instinct is to, like, if they come after me, I'm going to come after them. If they say this to me, I'm going to say this to them. But I promise you, remember, you get to title it, you get to entitle it, you get to name it, you get to identify it at your individual privilege. Is it going to be a negative situation or a positive situation? Think about some of the things that you've been through. Think about some of the things that you've been through. Literally, think about the things that you've come out of. And you named it negative, but you overcame it. You named it negative, but you got through it. Think about how easily it would have been if I say, this is not going to do something to me. This is not a negative situation. This is a tool. That's the word I've been looking for. This is the tool. This is a tool that God, the universe, source, whatever you want to call it, is using to develop me. This is a tool. This is not an attack. This is not something that will keep me from moving forward. In fact, this is nothing but a tool, one of many tools that God can use to get me through certain situations. Think about the you that you have become as a result of some of the things that you've gone through. Again, you get to decide on whether or not it was a victim. The you that you have become as a result of what you go through, it is decided upon you going in it. And I'm going to say it a little easier, a little clearer for you. So who you are after you go through it is already predetermined before you go in it. So if you look at it as it's something doing it to you, then that means you're going to become a victim. So when you get out of it, you're going to be angry, you're going to be bitter, you're going to hold grudges, you're going to be vindictive, you're going to be malicious because you feel like it was something that was done to you. If in my mind, I say, you know what, this is going to do something for me, it's going to grow me, it's going to develop me. When you come out of it, you will be ahead of the game. You will have evolved into, and a better version of you will have come out of that situation that most folk wouldn't even think that they could get out of. So think about that for a moment. You have the free will, the privilege to name any situation that shows up in your life. You're going to name it positive or you're going to name it negative. You're going to decide on whether or not it's going to do something to you or whether or not it's going to do something for you. That's your privilege. That's your privilege. So let me ask you, while you're sitting there trying to process this, think about a negative situation. So what if a negative situation arises tomorrow once you get to work or whatever, and you take 30 seconds to say, okay, this is not going to do anything to me. This is going to do something for me. This is going to work together for my good. I'm going to come out of this. I'm going to imagine what that will do for not only you, but for the people around you. Imagine that. Imagine that if you looked at every situation. Do you know what in the scripture, for those of you that read the Bible in particular, when it says if you resist the devil, he will flee from you. Resistance doesn't mean that you have to run away or you. Resistance means that I don't acknowledge your presence. So if I don't acknowledge the presence of negativity, negativity has to flee. Think about that. The same coin, same thing, different side of the coin. If I don't acknowledge positivity, positivity will have to flee. So what I acknowledge is what I give my attention to. What I give my attention to is what I focus on. What I focus on is where my energy goes. Okay? Where your energy goes, that's where you're focusing your attention. And that's that exchange of energy and frequency, which we talked about that before. So remember certain things, like remember that you get to decide if it's negative or positive. You get to decide on whether or not it's going to work for you or you feel like it's done something to you. All of this is in the realm of your authority, literally. Now, why would you become a victim? over something that you have the wherewithal to overcome? That's the question. Why would you become a victim over something that was sent as a tool to help you grow? Why would you let it be used against you when in your mind you have the wherewithal and the authority to let it be used to help you and to grow you? Think about that for a minute. And I know that that's hard. That's hard to process and hard. So I'll give you a few moments because I know that's hard, because then that means that it puts the ball in your court. Denise says, family death, grandbaby illness, and other personal things. I found things within myself that helped me deal with these things in a different outlook. It was hard, but I found the tool to pull me out of the darkness to a positive breakthrough for my life. It was called a choice. I made the choice to overcome. That's exactly what I'm talking about. With all that family death, grandbaby illness, and other personal things, you could easily become the victim. I have zero tolerance for victims mentality, especially for my life. I can't do it. I tell my story sometimes that, like, by the time I was 21, I lost both my parents. I had. And when I look at people and I look at the statistics for a Black male, especially one with zero parents, uh, trying to get finished with school, trying to figure life out. By 21, I could have fallen into any statistic, jail, grave, whatever you call it, whatever. But I chose, like Denise, to overcome it all. And I'm still overcoming so many things. And choose to be the victor and not the victim. That's called resilience. Did it happen overnight? No. Am I still having to bounce back? Yes, from so many different things. And that's what you can choose today, that you can choose to be resilient, bounce back, and it's a process. Be patient with yourself, be patient with the process, and watch the you that you're going to become as a result of seeing every situation as a positive one that is used as a tool to help you grow, to help you develop, to help you evolve. Watch that. You're strong, you're focused, and you're confident. I know it, I feel it. Otherwise, you wouldn't even be a part of this little group that we have formed. Thank you so much for today. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being a part. Don't forget to like and share this. Put on your calendar, please, December the 2nd from 12 to 6 on Gifford College campus right here in the city of Greensboro. If you are watching from wherever, if you can make it, please do. If not, just keep us encouraged. And if you want to be a part of our giving on Christmas Day to the homeless, you can DM me and I'll make sure that you get the address if you want to send some stuff to help us, or if you want to make a monetary donation. I think our Cash App is SFC Defined. SFC Defined, so it's $ SFC Defined. And just please put in the note, this is for the Christmas giveaway. And I promise you, we'll shout you out. I promise you, we will literally shout you out during our show. But thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of this beautiful, beautiful day. Remember, the choice is yours as to whether or not you are going to see it as positive or see it as negative. Whether or not you're going to see it done to you or something done for you. You have the authority to make that choice. You guys have a phenomenal day. Thanks. Bye.